Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tawana Rivers. This is the 10K Project, and tonight is another amazing Bet on Black pitch, where we bring to you Black founders who are raising capital via equity crowdfunding, and our mission and goal is to assist them in that mission of capital raising and to share what they're doing, the amazing things that they're doing, share it with everyone we know. And so I want to introduce to you some founders. We actually have a little bit of a reunion show this evening. All of these founders have joined us at the 10K Project in the past, but their campaigns are coming to an end, and we really wanted to celebrate them and support them one more time during this capital raising cycle. So that we can continue to support them. When we invite a founder to the 10K Project, it is for life. We don't, we don't do a one and done here, right? We invited you to the 10K family. We meant that. And so I was so grateful that you guys accepted the offer to come back and talk to us one more time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show, we'll kind of go around. I'll start with Stephanie. I'm going to show your campaign page, Stephanie. And then if you could tell us a little bit about what you're doing over at Crownhunt, give us an update, and then we'll kind of do that same thing all the way around, okay? And thank you to everyone in the community that has joined us this evening. All right, let me share your campaign page. Okay. So Stephanie's campaign is on WeFunder. She has raised $166,520 to date from 105 investors. This is a future equity investment deal. And, I always say the same thing, so I'll say it kind of once to go for all the campaigns. The founders put a lot of energy into building these campaign pages to include all of the information you need to know, right? A lot of the information here will answer most questions. Probably, I would say about 85% of the questions that you would have are answered on these campaign pages. And so part of our due diligence process is to read everything on the campaign page, right? And that's how we're going to become more informed investors. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to turn it over to you, Stephanie, to talk to us about what Crownhunt is up to.
Of course, yes. Yeah, so actually, should I pull up some slides or should I just
talk? No, go do it. However you want to do it.
Okay, cool. I'll pull up a few slides then. Give me 1 second. Right. All right. So I am Stephanie LaFlora. I am the CEO of Crownhunt, and we are modernizing the curly hair experience in and behind the chair with technology, content, and data. But what does that mean and how did I get here? 65% of the people in this country have curly hair. That's over 200 million people. So some of this will be some recap, and some of it I will give you some updates as well. But 65% of the people in this country have curly hair. That's over 200 million people, yet only 1 in 10 hairstylists is actually trained on how to style and care for curls and coils. And if you guys already know this, because right now that you couldn't walk into any salon and get your hairstyle in your community. You already know that you better know who's in there and what they look like to be able to get your hairstyle. And so why is that the case? On top of that being the case, there's also a lot of demand that is growing around this. And there's a couple of things leading to that. So one, last year in June, in the state of Louisiana, cosmetology schools began being required to actually teach curly and coily hair, which that is the first state to do that. Prior to that, in the entire country, you can go through cosmetology school, pay $20,000 and actually not be trained on how to style hair in your own community. Not a requirement, and it actually hasn't really been done at all throughout the country, which is wild. So that's one piece of legislation that's leading towards an increase in this demand. Another one is the Crown Act, which you've probably heard of by now. The Crown Act protects people with curly and coily hair from being discriminated against in schools and within their jobs. And so that's increasing that demand because people are feeling more comfortable to wear their hair in this curly and coily state. And then the last piece here is that people are really starting to reject harsh chemicals. You may have heard about the lawsuit that's happening right now with L'Oreal, where they're actually being sued because of their relaxer products causing cancer. So all of these things are adding up, and people are starting to wear their hair in its natural state more, and more people are wanting to get those type of styles and services. So Crownhunt, this is like a little bit of a peek behind the scenes. What's inside is we have a subscription for stylists to get continuing education on two key things. One is styling curly and coily hair, which is a big gap that was in their cosmetology school experience. The second is business classes. That's another big gap that has been in the cosmetology school experience. And we really think this is a huge opportunity to stimulate our economy. Hairstylists are 91% female and 38% BIPOC. So that means that when we help stylists improve their business and scale their business, we really are stimulating an economy and some pretty important demographics in our country. We also have community events and access to mentors. So one quick thing about that's like an update that I'm very proud of. We've been extremely scrappy, and we have leveraged our network. And so we actually are launching our V1 product this month. So everything you see listed here is launching this month. We have had a product already in market, but this is the subscription product that we have been working towards. So we use some of the funds that we've already raised to do that. And the funds that we conclude this with will be in order for us to build out our community and build out our team. So a lot has happened even with the funds that we raised. The last time I was here, this was not here. So I'm proud of that. Just a few more things real quick. We are collaborating with really high profile stylists whose work has been seen in all of these types of places. And then the opportunity is huge, okay? The hair market is 62 billion. The coily, curly hair market is actually 41 billion because of 65% of that market. And we think that we can corner 8 billion of this market with our products and services. But it's not just education. And this is something that I really, really like. If you don't remember anything that I say, this is the slide to take in, because I want you to get a sense of the vision. So right now we are a subscription product for hairstylists to get education, but this is just the beginning. This is our foundational layer. I actually come from tech and data tech. And so we're building this with that in mind. And our thought is that we actually want to be the foundational data layer of the entire curly coily hair industry. And let me explain what that looks like in this diagram. We want to connect consumers and stylists to each other. So again, we're starting with stylists getting educated on how to style and care for these hair textures. But once they are doing that, we want to actually connect them with local clients looking to get their hairstyle. So this is where y'all come in. You're looking for somebody to style your hair. You don't want to just look on Yelp or anything like that, which by the way, you can't even look for because you can't look up Black hairstylists or texture hairstylists, like not a thing. But then on top of that, even if you could do that, how do you know if this person can do a great job? So we are qualifying these people by giving them the education, and then we're going to be matching them to consumers. So that's one piece. Then on top of that, this is all of our, like 5-year plan. We're looking to add to that products. So now imagine that consumers and stylists can come to Crownhunt, get connected to each other, but then also get connected to the products that are ideal for the hair textures that they have and that the clients that they serve, their hair textures. So that's kind of like a really fast version of like where we're headed. And we're looking to launch that client match in Denver, where we're located, which is really a great city to to launch that in because of the changing demographics in this city. Here's a little piece about the competitive landscape. All I'm going to say about this, I'm rushing because I want to make sure everybody has time. The competitive landscape, the main thing is there are a lot of companies and products that are in each of these categories. So education, maybe matching people, maybe products, but no one's doing all of the above. And the power of that is all of the data that sits underneath that, because we'll be able to know what types of hair texture work with what products best and what kind of style is best matched with different types of clients. And so when we get all of that onto the same platform, we really are going to be able to leverage the power of all of that data sitting on one platform. And we're not even necessarily trying to be all of the education or all of the products or anything like that. We actually believe that our core product is data matching. And so we think that there's a future where we could be, our algorithm could be in Target and matching people to, like on Target's website, literally matching people to the right hair products for them because of our algorithm in the background. So that's just giving you like a sense of the scale of this thing. So this is just a little bit of, we have stylist profile in our V1 that's launching, and we'll be rolling out Client Match later this year. And then this is myself and my co-founder, Ryan Holdeman, who we met at the same tech company, tech startup 10 years ago in Boulder, Colorado, and both worked at Data Tech. And this is our suite of advisors, which include tech folks from places like Twitter, advisors who built giant companies like Blockbuster, and lots of industry experts as well. So that's my super fast spiel, and I'll stop there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow, you have done a lot, my dear, since we've last seen you.
Oh, I had a baby too since I last saw you.
Oh my goodness.
I forgot about that. That actually happened.
Oh my goodness. Black girl magic is in the house.
God is helping me.
Oh goodness. Jamila, you are up next. Let me pull up your campaign. I'm going to get the ladies first here. All right. Jamila's campaign is on Seed at the Table. As you guys know, Seed is one of the Black-owned portals that we like to support. And Chewbox is the company name. Chewbox has raised to date 250, oh, that's the target, hold on, $9,000 from 7 investors. Again, look through the campaign. Kim Gatson is actually the CEO. Jamila, you're the COO, right? If I remember properly.
Correct.
Yes. And so Jamila is going to tell us what Chewbox has been up to since they last joined us. All right, my dear, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome, thank you. I don't have slides. I'm like, oh man, I'm going next, and I don't know how to follow that. It was so great to learn so much, and to see that. I'm like, I took down so many notes, let me tell you. But Chewbox, we are a venture-backed startup that is developing software for ghost kitchens. So if you don't know what a ghost kitchen is, it really is just a kitchen that is used to cook and push food out. So there's no diners, there's no restaurant front. It really is just a kitchen that allows people to maximize their profits because they are maximizing profit per square foot. To date, there is no real software for ghost kitchens. Many ghost kitchens use traditional POS systems, which are in the order that you get your request is how it's made. For ghost kitchens, that doesn't really work because they don't need to do it in the order that they receive in order. They really can do it in batches. And so there's no software that really helps them to organize all of that data coming in batches to be able to get it out to multiple people. It also changes the way that we think about food. Rather than I'm hungry, I want to eat now, you're thinking I'm hungry, I want to eat tomorrow. So it's really like switching the way that you think, because in multiple ways, it helps not only it helps restaurants be able to have less waste, maximize profits, and also give you the sense of I'm getting the food when I want the food, because you have prepared before to say, I want this food. It allows restaurants to also have a one-to-many delivery option rather than a one-to-one. If you're using an Uber Eats or Postmates or those sorts of things, there's one person who goes to a restaurant, picks up your meal, brings it to you. And shifting the mindset and shifting it to a ghost kitchen that's doing batch deliveries a delivery driver can actually do one-to-many, helping out the gig economy as well. Those folks being able to make more per drive rather than really having to do the hustle that, you know, a lot of gig workers have to do because you're based on one-to-one sort of aspects. Since the last time being here, I'm just gonna say outright, I give props to everyone who crowdfunds. It is a grind. It is hard. It is very, very hard. And so we have been working hard and really getting our crowdfund up there and out there. Since the last time I talked to you folks, we are going to be launching with the #1 food service provider in the United States, Aramark, to launch the software, working on getting the food to their remote workers as well as their stranded workers. So we're working really closely with the Ford Motor Company and making sure that their manufacturing workers have as much access to the food resources on their campuses as those who are working in offices. So that's one of our biggest updates, and that we're going to be able to be launching with them. In addition, we're working with the Michigan Central Station team, which is revitalizing the Michigan Central Station in Detroit that has gone derelict. They're making this an innovation district, a mobility innovation district, where we're working with them to design and operate a new ghost kitchen that's going to feature local culinary entrepreneurs, as well as helping to test different options around mobility. So not only driving, scooters, drones, etc. And we're lucky enough to be able to work with other Black-owned mobility companies in that sense as well. So really with us, I'll keep it short. We are moving. We think 2023 is going to be a big year. We're hoping that this crowdfund can help us to really get the resources so that we can build up our sales team, because we're going to be pitching to a lot of other large food service producers in order to really make sure that we can expand their reach of not only their employees, but even being able to touch the communities around them.
Very good. Congratulations on getting the Aramark contract. That's huge. Very, very good. All right. We're going to go to Daryl next. Daryl's campaign is on WeFunder. This round, Daryl, were you on Republic last time?
Yes, ma'am. So we did Republic in 2020? No, 2021.
2021. It was 2021. Daryl was he was my first month. He was one of the founders, the first months we launched the Bet on Black Pitches. So that was a super exciting month. And Daryl, you were one of those founders to kind of give us the proof of concept that brings us here now, 2 years later. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
The Relay on Demand has raised in this round $229,176 from 197 investors, and this is a priced round. So I'll stop sharing. Daryl, let you take over.
Cool. Let me get my screen shared up here. So I'm going to take you guys through a little bit of a couple of slides. And then, let's see, oops. Slideshow from beginning. All right. So just a little recap of what Relay is. So Relay on Demand is a on-demand marketplace that connects truck drivers who don't own their own trucks with trucking companies who need truck drivers, either on demand to fill in part-time or even on a full-time basis. And so the problem that we're attacking and solving really comes from my own kind of personal experiences. And so one, I grew up the son of a truck driver, been around the trucking industry my whole life. On the other hand, I went to school, got a degree as a mechanical engineer, and I spent over 10 years climbing the corporate ladder. And so my passion for like innovation and things like that kind of brought me back to the trucking industry, where I saw a real problem. And it developed from me owning my own trucking company. And so the big problem is that there's a shortage of truck drivers and a shortage of truck drivers who want to work in the current way the industry is set up. And so what is that like today for truck drivers? There's no freedom and flexibility how they work. Probably everybody on this call knows at least either they're married to a truck driver, has a close family member to a truck driver, definitely knows somebody who's a truck driver because it's the #1 job in 29 states. And so a lot of times as a truck driver, and they will tell you if you ask them, they're forced to go to different places across the country when they they need to get home sometimes. Spending weeks on the road, there's, it's hard when they're in a truck 12 hours, 14 hours a day driving to really have a healthy lifestyle, get the exercise they need. And since we're a marketplace, right, there's another side of the equation that we're attacking as well, which is the carrier or AKA trucking company. And many small carriers today struggle to really be profitable. And a lot of people don't realize this, but the trucking industry is dominated by small carriers. Over 90% of the freight that you see moving and coming to your grocery stores and stores across the country is moved by a small carrier, a carrier that has 5 or less trucks. So it's a really fragmented industry as a whole. And so they have a tough time, those small carriers, because they don't have the resources to keep and retain drivers. And so their trucks sit a lot while they're in between drivers looking for drivers, which is a lot of lost revenue. And so the solution that we developed is Relay on Demand. It's all about getting the right driver at the right time with the right company. And so it's for truck drivers who don't own their own truck. So these are professional Class A truck drivers, but they don't want to take the burden of becoming the owner operator and trying to own their own truck and start their own business. They just want to have flexibility and freedom in how they work and make good money doing it. And then trucking companies, those are our customers. Those are the ones who pay, and they're the ones who need the drivers. And so we've used our powerful from the ground up technology that we built to connect those truck drivers with the carriers on demand in real time, anywhere in the country, 24/7, 365 days a year. And so for carriers, they don't need to do any hiring or anything like that. It's literally a tap of a button and they almost instantly get a driver in their truck. Today, if they didn't have Relay, it would take them 4 to 8 weeks, tons of interviews and things like that, trying to hire a driver through Indeed or job boards, trying to find drivers for their trucks. For the driver side, it's almost like they get to be an owner operator as if they own their own truck, where they could call their own shots, but they don't have to have the hassle of owning and the cost of and the risk of owning that truck. So they make great money, they build their own schedules, they accept the runs they want to do. And so I kind of want to show you guys just a little bit, because I think last time I went through the whole deck, so I'm not going to go through it this time, but I just want to kind of give you guys an idea of how it works. So this is a homepage that a carrier would log into. And let me just make sure you guys can still see my screen here. All right. Did my screen switch? Just want to make sure. Cool. All right. So as a carrier, they have their dashboard. They also have the mobile app that they can use. And so it's super easy. And when carriers see this, they're like, there's no way getting the driver. It's just easy. And so they simply log onto their account and they have all their kind of things they could do here. They click book a driver. They could use a quick entry template that's already set up with their runs that they do. This particular run's a Los Angeles to Dallas, Texas run. And so all these details based on their profile and their account and the runs they do, it's already pre-filled. So it's looking at, where are the stops for the drivers so they know any special endorsements that the drivers need on their license, the trailer types, because we're matching not only the special endorsements that drivers need, but also the experience that the drivers have with different types of trailers, so that the carrier can be certain that the driver who shows up has the right qualifications, experience to do a great job for them. And then, fill for any notes. And then, the carrier just needs to schedule when do they need the driver to show up to the truck. And so in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and put like, I need a driver in the next, couple hours here to show up tonight at 8 p.m. And then bam, they hit review. It gives them a review of what the order is. And so our system calculates how long it's going to take that driver to complete that trip. And so we have a lot of data around, because you just can't use Google. Trucks don't travel like cars, right? So you use Google Maps for you to estimate, but trucks have fuel stops. Just for a truck to stop and get fuel takes 30 to 45 minutes because of the way they have to maneuver and get in fuel islands. There's hours of service, right? So truck drivers have to take a break after every 8 hours of driving. Mandatory, you have to pull over and rest for 30 minutes. They can only drive a total of 11 hours in a day. And then depending on where the location is, where they have to unload and unload, different places take different amount of times to unload and load trucks and trailers. So we factor all that in and give an estimated time so that the driver can be certain, like, okay, this is how long this trip is going to take me, so I could plan my life around it. And the carriers know, okay, I can plan my next load because I know when my truck is going to be back as well. And the cool part is we've gotten, with all our data and algorithms, we've gotten this estimate down to within plus or minus an hour for these trips, which is just incredible when you think about all the delays and traffic and things that could happen. And so it's pretty cool. Our system then gives the carrier here a suggested price on what they should pay the driver for that run. And that's based on, again, the data we collect on the network, what carriers are paying across the industry. So it's always making sure that carriers and drivers are being competitive and the pay is fair and everybody's happy on the network. And so then once the carrier is ready to find a driver, they simply hit find me a relay driver. It goes out to the entire relay network of available drivers. So the system's looking and scanning to see who's available, what hours they have available. And then based on that in real time, it gives us a relay acceptance predictor, which is like, okay, how likely is my run going to get picked up before 8 p.m. tonight by a driver? So it gives the carrier an idea of like, okay, you know what? Because I need a driver like real fast in the next 2 hours here, I probably need to bump up my rate as a premium to get a driver off his couch right now and run over to my truck in the next 2 hours to go do a run to cold Minnesota right now, in the winter, or Dallas, Texas right now. So that's how it works, and that's how easy it is to get a driver, right? So it's pretty cool. And then some new things that we built since the last time. So now as carriers use different drivers, so this is a real account here. And so this is a carrier who's used a ton of drivers, right? So this is all the past drivers they've used. And we heard, that carriers and drivers sometimes when they find people that they like, they want to keep working with them. And so they want to, create a more permanent basis. And so we created a way for them to easily directly hire those drivers as, another way for us to monetize that relationship as well and kind of keep the driver and the carrier happy. And so one of the cool things to kind of look at here is you scroll down and you look at the faces of these drivers. As Black people, we're highly represented on the relay network. And so we're roughly about 30% of the drivers on the network, which is pretty cool. And so for whatever reason, our people are always just, they've been the first ones to join, and it's something that's just resonates and is needed in that freedom and flexibility. And I think it's all about just having that balance to be at home with the family and, be that father or mother in the house and not always have to be on the road all the time. And so in a nutshell, so that's where we're at. So last year we added a couple new markets to Relay. So we're in Chicago now. We're moving into the Pacific Northwest, and then we'll also be moving into the Northeast. So this year is the year that we're truly going to have a footprint on all four corners of the country. And so that's where we're at.
Wonderful update. Very, very nice. Nice to see you've had some expansion. I remember when you came to talk to pitch, everybody was saying, what about North Carolina? What about like you were like, soon.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see you've actually expanded. So wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. You can stop sharing your screen now, then we will pull up Scotty's campaign. So Scotty's campaign is Lake Noire, and this is his second raise. This campaign is on small change. We don't come to small change often, but we're going to change that. We're going to start coming there more. I look at it once a week, and there's some really nice campaigns out here. Small change is typically real estate. All right. $65,000 raised. To date, looks like 35 investors. There's 15 days left in this campaign. And so I am going to turn it over to you, Scotty, to tell us more about Lake Noire.
Cool. Hey, good evening, family. Please excuse the noise behind us. The team is working late. But my name is Scotty Smith II. I'm the founder of a pretty cool real estate development project in a small town about an hour and a half south of Dallas, Texas, called The Retreat at Lake Noire. And what it is a 15-acre, one second. Sorry about that. We all working late tonight. But it's a 15-acre project in a small town called Oakwood, Texas. And the concept behind this development was to create an opportunity, create a development, create a retreat, so to speak, where people can go unplug, disconnect, and reconnect, recharge, and re-energize themselves in nature. And so I'm developing 20 tiny cabins around 1.5 acre man-made lake, and ultimately we'll be leasing them out on any short-term rental site that we have. And I'm trying to share my screen here, so y'all forgive me. I'm not the tech savvy person. I'm in the real estate business, but we'll get this thing together.
And while Scotty's pulling that up, guys, I am putting the links, the campaign links in the chat. So please go ahead and snag those up and save them so that you can share them with all of your family and friends.
We got action. Can you guys see that?
You are good to go, sir.
Okay, perfect. So again, just real quick, this is, I'm not gonna go through all of the slides, but I'm gonna just touch on some of the high level things. As mentioned, it's a 15-acre luxury retreat featuring 20 tiny cabins situated around 1.5 acre man-made lake. And being an outdoors person, loving to hunt, loving to fish, but having family and friends who, want to enjoy that type of stuff, but don't like the idea of roughing it. The concept of luxury in the woods is how we came up with this whole deal. And so we're talking tiny homes, right under 400 square feet. Both of them, both models house about 2 to 4 people, depending on how close and intimate you want to get for the weekend or for the week. This is kind of the concept drawing of what the retreat will look like. And so when I say small town, I mean really small town. This development, being a $2 million development, is one of the largest development that they've had in a really long time. In comparison to what you see in the big cities, that lets you know just kind of how small it is. The town is a population of 600 people, and they're really excited about getting something like this in their backyard. But more importantly, they're excited about the visitors that this will bring to the city, specifically because it's going to help spur the economic and have an economic impact on the city. So just some quick renderings of what it looks like. And so we have 2 models, one being the Noire cabin, which is 405 square feet. This one is actually my favorite design. It's the larger of the 2. It allows, like I said, 2 to 4 people. Each one of the cabins will be situated either along the creek line or around the lake itself. The second one is the Luxe design. It's 389 square feet. It's an A-frame, very unique in nature, with both of them reaching 20 feet tall. Although they're tiny cabins, the space that you see and the space that you enjoy, it feels much more spacious because of the windows, the elevation, et cetera. And so for me, having been in the real estate business for well over 15 years, this is my first time developing and actually building a lake, which is a pretty dope concept in and of itself, just seeing that process. But the features of the lake, which include, boating, kayaking, rowing, and fishing, all of those things, guests will have to rent from the retreat. And so we're not allowing people to bring their own boating things. They're going to have to rent all that stuff. It's twofold. It helps us control what goes into our lake and, the ecosystem of the lake, but also is a profit center for the operations and our investors. And so guests will be able, like I said, to come out, enjoy. It's not catch and release. It's catch and eat and fry or put on the barbecue pit, and just really enjoy nature, enjoy being out in a luxurious setting, but still, tapping into nature itself. And so, just a bit of information about tiny cabins. I think on every time I turn on HGTV, A&E, there's some type of tiny house nation, tiny house this, tiny house something, and it just lets me know that we're going down the right path, because anytime there's a trend that's happening, A&E, HGTV, all these folks tend to pick it up. One of the things that I really enjoy, I like statistics, I like numbers. I recently read that because of the increase in population that we're seeing on this planet that we call home, what's going to end up happening is people are going to start shrinking the size of their homes. And so the tiny home and the tiny house industry is exploding, multi-billion-dollar industry that's only continuing to go up. And now for us with this whole deal, we'll be renting these deals out for anywhere between $175 to $250 a night. Conceptually, and I wanted to stop right here because we're all talking about what's been going on since we started. And so we recently started building going vertical on the first 2 cabins. Our development budget on this whole thing is about $2.3 million. This weekend, we had our appraisal on the property because we're getting ready to close on our SBA, USDA construction loan, and the appraisal came back at $4.2 million. And so we're instantly walking into a deal with $2 million worth of equity, simply based off of our concept and what we anticipate cash flows on this thing to be. And so ultimately, you know, a couple different profit centers, one being the revenue from the rentals, the other being the lake attraction. And so, as I mentioned, this is a small town. It is, you know, like I said, it's about 600 people, but there's tons of land. The family that I purchased this property from in 2021, they own an additional 50 acres behind us that we have an LOI out on, and you know, they're giving us the opportunity to just kind of expand our development and expand the retreat and the resort option that we have. And so this round of investment is actually our second round. Between this go round, which I believe it's 32 investors, and the first round, it's 98 investors. We have 130 investors included in this development project, which is outstanding, simply because we don't get an opportunity to invest in multi-million-dollar ground up development opportunities. And so as a real estate developer, real estate broker, my goal is to continue to expose us to these types of things. And it brings me great joy to be able to do it. When I underwrote this whole deal and when I put this thing, you know, pen to pad, I recognized that it wasn't a difficult deal to make sense to a bank. The banks love this deal simply because they understand the idea of, one, short-term rentals, but two, the aspect of tiny homes. You got a lower cost because the homes are smaller, but you have a higher profitability because you're able to rent these out for a little bit more because people are just really excited about tiny cabins. And so we're capitalizing on that. And so our goal is to continue to expose people to these types of real estate development projects by offering equity into the deals at the ground level and allowing for everybody to reap when it's time to sell. Another interesting development that has happened is, you know, we took a survey, you know, we kind of looked at market comparables around North Texas, East Texas, and Central Texas, and found a group of similar resorts and some similar kind of developments that are successful. Our closest comparable, which is about an hour and a half away from us, recently put their property on the market. It's a 5-acre site, 7 tiny cabins, and they have it listed for $6 million. They rent during the week for $400 and on the weekend, $600. Very, very similar in nature, very similar in size. And so it just lets me know, proof of concept wise, that this type of development works in and around Texas. And so I'm happy to answer any and all questions about the retreat at Lake Noire. You can find it at smallchange.co. Love to have you guys as investors.
Wonderful. Very, very good. Thank you so much. Very good. It looks like somebody's, Mark saying to connect you with Tan and Andrews at CCG.
Is that the interior design person with
no, that's who I connected you with, Robin Wilson, before. Yeah, no, Tannen actually has he's developing a REIT, and so you would be a good connection. So I'll actually just talk to him today. So I will make a note here. Thank you, Mark. Very good. All right, you guys have been busy. That's a busy with a Z. Busy. Congratulations. Let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A. Bernard says this question is for Scotty. Will travel agents be able to offer your rentals?
That's a great question. One that I hadn't thought about before. My knee-jerk reaction is, yeah, absolutely. I'm not certain how the travel agent industry works. I know much like the real estate industry, I believe they work off of commission. So yeah, we can work that out. And the person who asked that question, can you shoot your email in the chat, because I'd like to maybe utilize you to help me put what that looks like together, if you don't mind.
Very good. It's interesting because I can see travel agents having group trips, different retreats, right? Where they kind of rent out the whole place. And then other groups. One of the things we talked about, Scotty, and I've been doing it is I'm part of a lot of outdoor groups, and we meet annually at different campsites to camp. And so I've added you to like a lot of those groups, like Melanated Camp Out and groups like that, which is really, I think, going to be a good market for you to kind of corner, because these groups are looking for Black-owned retreats to go to.
Yeah.
So very, very good. Yeah, and Jessica saying yes, group trips. Very good. All right, guys, go ahead and put your questions. Spiritual retreats also, Teresa said.
Mhm.
Very good. So Mike, I have a question for Stephanie as we're putting other questions in. Stephanie, my question is, when you get to the stage of the connecting the stylist with the customer, and I love that you're going to be able to kind of show that they've gone through certain education. They have, they have what it takes to be successful, because that is always a big concern, right? You got to be more than just Black to touch my hair, right? You got to
Yeah,
know
absolutely.
what you're doing, right? There's some things it's like, okay, if I want soul food, I'm gonna try any Black restaurant. But if I want good hair, it's a, and so tell us kind of how does the algorithm give some matching, or is it just simply like, I'm going to be able to search based on like what city and state I'm going to be at? Are there other criterias? Are there like if I'm looking for a weave, is this somebody who can do that very efficiently? Like talk a little bit more about that matching.
Yeah, so again, this is something that we'll be doing later this year, but the way that we are thinking of architecting this is based on 3 key things. And that is, what's the style that you want? What texture of hair do you have? And what's the credentials of the stylist? So I have faux locks right now. I have coily textured hair, and I would want someone who has credentials in doing faux locks with coily hair, because there's a lot of styles that just don't translate as much. Like faux locks is a little bit easier because most people, I'm sure there are some people who are getting faux locks that don't have coily textured hair, but there aren't a lot of them. So it's a pretty safe bet. But if you think about things like if you wanted to, get highlights or do a balayage or something where you're getting color or a cut is really a big one, because your cut is totally different if you're going to wear your hair in a curly texture versus if your hair is straight. So all of those components will be the things that we're looking to make that recommendation, and that will also be locally based as well. And then we're going to pilot that in Denver. That's where we're starting. Second pilot cities, if y'all got thoughts about that, let us know. But some of our other top cities that we have in terms of traction is Atlanta, DC, Chicago, and New York.
Very good. And there's a question in the chat, Stephanie. It says, where do I find good hairstylists, because I'm going natural and I cannot find someone to do my hair now?
I'm just going to drop you my email address and I can help you find somebody. Until we do, the thing about our matching is like people want that so badly that as soon as I say it, people are blowing me up like, who can I go to? So I've just made it a point at this point to be like, let me help you figure that out. But also there's some good things to look for in a stylist. One, do they have a consultation? That's a really big one. Because then they're looking at your hair texture. They're trying to see if your hair is damaged, because there's a lot of styles that if your hair is damaged, it's not a good idea to do the style. Or if your hair is thinner or whatever. So if you have a consultation, that's a really good sign that they're a person who's thinking about your specific hair and is going to do a good job with your hair. Another good sign is that people will help you after your appointment. The best stylists have instructions on how to care for your hair after the appointment. The really tippity top stylists, like the ones that are educating on our platform, have take-home PDFs that give you aftercare for your hair as well. So those are a few tips about that, but also I'll drop my email so I can help you find somebody local.
Wonderful. I absolutely love that. So it's interesting because I've been natural for 15 years, but I still wear style. I don't have really coily hair, right? So I can't wear the beautiful afros and all of those things. And so when I tell people I'm natural and I walk in somewhere, they're expecting a certain look and then they don't get it when they see me. And so it's like, okay, but I still need you to know how to manage natural hair, even though I'm not getting those natural styles. And so that education is critical, absolutely critical. Yvonne says, I would like Scotty to have my information and I would like to have his. I have organized mini group retreats. I also manage an investment fund. Very, very good. So Scotty, if you want to grab Yvonne's information and put yours, oh, it looks like you already put yours in there. So good. Very good. And Stephanie put her information in there as well. All right. Daryl's questions for you. Says, at Daryl, approximately how many daily active users does Relay have or expect to grow into? And also, can you explain how you all generate revenue from your active user base?
So on any given month, we probably have, so overall we have about over 2,000 drivers on the network who have joined our network across the country. On any given month, drivers who are actually doing like a run that particular month is around 300 or so, give or take, depending on the month right now. And then carriers were right around probably like 100 or so. Our goal is to grow to about 14 to 15,000 drivers, right? By the time we're fully mature, being active on the network. So that's our goal. And then how do we make money? Two ways. One, we charge the carriers a monthly membership fee. So we have that built-in recurring revenue. And then that makes it really sticky for the carriers to stay on the network with, our annual commitments, things like that for their memberships. And then we also take a cut on each run that's done on the network as a percentage of that driver pay. The driver doesn't pay it, but the carrier pays that as a small markup fee. So those are two ways we monetize the platform.
Very good. Jamila, this next question is for you. Sarah says, I'm familiar with ghost kitchens, but I'm also wondering if your software will be applicable for inedible products that require a kitchen setup, i.e. soaps, candle making, and has the team thought about this expansion?
We have not thought about that type of expansion, but the software can work for that because really it is a software that is collecting data, crunching numbers of where things need to go. So it can do that for things that are not cooked things. It could do that for soap. So we haven't looked at that as one of the avenues, but in you saying that, that's definitely now on my list of things to think about. There are opportunities I've been seeing in different locales around that sort of work. So thank you for that.
Very good. Very good. Stephanie, Brian Marshall saying hi to you. He told me that you guys have a connection when I talked to him the other day. I said, it is a small world. I love me some Anasi and the Marshalls. All right. We've got some questions in the chat. Guys, please make sure you put your questions in the Q&A so I don't miss any of these great questions. Micheline says, this question is for Crownhunt. How can a manufacturer of natural hair care products use your network?
That's a phenomenal question. In the short term, one way that you could use our network is to actually, we can promote your products in our email list. We have about 5,000 stylists nationally that are subscribed to our email list. So that'll be a great connection. So I dropped my email. We can talk about how we would do that. So that's in the short term. In the long term, what we're looking to do is create a marketplace where we're matching both stylists actually and regular consumers to products. So that's the direct to consumer route, but it's also stylists getting the opportunity to resell, to sell products in their salons to their clients, which is an excellent source of revenue for them. Again, we're really focused on stimulating the economy, but also they have the closest relationship with the customer. So their recommendations pretty much guarantee sale. So we're looking for a way to create an affiliate sales model with that as well, but that's longer term. So in the short term, we can talk about promoting your products in our email list.
Wonderful, very good. And Jesse's asking Daryl, Daryl, can you buy a trucking school in order to feed drivers into your own system?
That's a great idea. Yeah, that's one we've thought about, and we're definitely, I think that's down the road for us, maybe a couple of years. Right now, the key for us is making sure that there's experienced, which is the key word, drivers on the network, to make sure that there's a great experience for the carriers. And so right now, we're only allowing experienced drivers to join the network. So typically they have to have at least 2 or 3 years. But once we kind of get to that critical mass scale, one of the things I think, which is a great idea, is for us to create that kind of feeder school, where, you know, we can give people that opportunity to jump in, get the experience, you know, maybe work with certain carriers who are okay with new drivers. And I think that would be an awesome thing once we get there, but I think it's a few years out still.
Very good. And Jesse has a question for you, Scotty. Can Scotty envision a retreat for all funders that have come to 10K and investors together to support Invest in Person? Okay, so we're gonna do a 10K project retreat. All the founders we've supported. That's gonna be a big retreat.
That is a big retreat. Now, mind you, there's only 20 cabins, so we got to get real.
We got to get you enough money to buy the 50 acres behind you. That's what we got to do.
So, in short, kind of, what we're doing for people who invest in this project, we're doing investor weekends. We'll do those once a year, which will allow for investors to come out and, you know, just kick it and enjoy the property. However, but before we actually do our grand opening for this deal, there's going to be some kinks that we need to work out. And so for about, 2 months, we'll have weekends where investors can come out, stay for a night, allow for us to do the transition and the turnover, just to see how our process is and how our process works. Like I said, it's a very small town. A lot of our folks are going to be, people who work with us are going to be from the town. So we want to make certain that we're able to turn the units with the standard that we've set. So we'll be doing all that. And so our investors will be able to come out and enjoy. And then in June, when this whole deal is done, of course, we're going to invite investors to come out and kick it. There is, we've done some partnership collaboration efforts with some of the camping, glamping sites that you mentioned to me. We have a designated space. It's about, about 50 or so yards, half the size of a football field, where we're just going to have, folks will be able to come out and pitch a tent. And so we're actually working on how do we include that into our revenue model, because this young lady, this is all she does. She puts together kind of glamping experiences. And so we've dedicated some space to that. And so just really trying to capitalize as much as we can on the land, and utilize as much of it as we can. So yes, kind of, but after the fact, after this fund closes, we're likely not going to be able to raise anymore, I don't believe. And so, I mean, if you want to just, invest, or let me say this, we do have 10 more pad sites that are not included in this fund, and we're not sure what we're going to do with those yet. We're thinking, hey, do we take revenues made from the year, reinvest it? Of course, that'll be a determination of all the investors, and we'll make a decision from there. But we do have other pad sites, so maybe, we'll say maybe.
Scotty, I told you what to do with those pads last time.
I know.
I'm telling you. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
All right. Stephanie, this question's for you. Dr. Charlotte says, other than education, what other data will you use to match?
Well, it depends on what we're matching people to, but one of the things that I said before was style. So what style are they seeking? Hair texture. So when we do open up the client side of things, we're looking for people to fill out a profile to let us know about their hair texture, whether they have had hair loss, what kind of products have worked for them in the past. And so we'll be using all of that type of data to match people over time.
Very good. Jamila, has Chewbox considered ownership of ghost kitchens?
Yes, we have considered it. The last 2 years, we actually had our own ghost kitchen in the LA County area that was able to actually serve all of LA County, which is amazing because it's so expansive. What we learned is that we are a software development company. So we are really, really good at creating software and making software that works for people. We really believe that there are other people in the space who are really, really good at food service operations. So instead of having actual ghost kitchens that we own, we really want to look for great partners that can use our software.
I love that response, because so often these opportunities to expand in areas that kind of fit, they're a little tempting. And so I love that you're focused on, and you know exactly who you are from an investor standpoint. That is critical, that my founder knows their lane and they want to stay there and strategically expand where it makes sense. So thank you for that response. Daryl, this question's for you. Dr. Charlotte says, are drivers able to go or to just go to the website to sign up with their requested supporting documents, looking to make referrals to Relay? Very nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks. So there's two ways. So they could go to the website, relayondemand.com, or the drivers can go to their app store, whether it's iOS or Android, and just, type in Relay on Demand and our app will pop up, and they could download the app and start from there. So either way.
Very good. Lorraine says, for Stephanie, this one's for you. Is there any training on client services? Some of the locticians here are interesting. Lorraine, where are you at? Where are you located?
I'll say this, yes. We are training people on how to do proper consultations, how to improve their business overall, have professional service. We're also looking to host an event next month on, actually right on the topic with this, the State of the Union on Black hair, because the internet is dragging folks and people are mad and people are having really bad experiences, but there's also really amazing stylists out here. And we know that the real problem is that people can't find who they're looking for, not that the people don't exist. And so we want to have an event on that. So if you follow Crownhunt on Instagram, you'll find out about that as soon as we tell everybody, which I haven't told anyone. So you guys are hearing that first here. But we do have training on those things as well. And we're constantly training folks also on our social media on tips and things they can do to improve their service.
Wonderful. And Lorraine says she's in Philly. Bernard says, what's the email to contact Scotty? Oh, it's Bernard, scroll up. He put it in there. It's in there. Scotty, you want to put it again down here at the bottom? Daryl, it says at Daryl, excellent. Is there a plan to build brand advertising into the Relay platform for revenue or lead generation?
Man, that's awesome. It's an awesome idea. We don't have a plan right now, but I can see that, especially on the driver's side, right? As they're scrolling, some ads could pop up, some advertising as they're scrolling through their app looking for runs. There's definitely opportunity there for sure. But yeah, as of right now, we haven't really explored that too much, but I can see the opportunity.
That's a great idea. I could see like a Buc-ee's ad popping up there.
Or even geolocated ads, right? As they're driving across the country, right, to different stops, right? We can
Mhm.
target them because, while they're using the app, we're tracking in the background where they're at and their GPS and all that good stuff. So yeah, so we could probably do some pretty interesting, cool stuff there on the advertising side.
Very nice. Scotty, this one's for you. Is there a centralized clubhouse? What other amenities besides water activities will be on site for future planning?
What's called the hospitality house, with front of the property. And we're working on having, kind of a small restaurant, so to speak, out there. We also have kind of this pavilion that we're building out there. That came as an idea or from an idea from one of these investor pitches. It wasn't this one in particular, but it was another one. They were like, hey, you need a pavilion. People want to do weddings. Ideally, I wasn't thinking about weddings, but somebody's called us already and they want to book for New Year's Eve this year for a wedding. And so I'm like, oh, well, I guess we do need a pavilion. And so we're early on in the construction process where we can add things like that. Pavilion is not very difficult to include, but so I think that's the first part of your question. The second part of the question is what other amenities? Really, that solace, that solitude, that peace, that's the amenity that we're selling on the retreat at Lake Noire. It's not one of those sites where you come and it's a whole turn up. It's one of those things where you come, relax, chill, just enjoy nature. There will be walking trails throughout the property. There's a pretty substantial creek that will line with a walking trail. If you're feeling adventurous and you want to go to our neighbors, she's one of the only Black-owned. She has the only Black-owned ranching facility for cows and beef, where they do everything from start to slaughter. That's just a couple parcels over if you're into that type of deal, but we will be sourcing some of our meat from her though. But that's pretty much it.
Very good. Jamila, can you talk more about your revenue model? Subscription, one-time revenue, or both?
So it is, I would say it is, I don't know if it's both, but it definitely is an annual subscription for the kitchens that use our service, plus a fee per meal that goes through our service. So for every meal, it's about a 10% fee for that meal. That helps to cover the cost of the software, also goes towards driver fees, et cetera. Because it is a plurality rather than a one-to-one, we're able to take less from each bit because we have more as a whole. So it's really good for the drivers, the kitchen, as well as us to be able to make a good profit.
Very good. Scotty, you want to talk about where you're going to expand next?
Yeah, so there's just, I want to say, what is that? Just north of the property, there's 50 acres. And I don't know the demographic or where people are located in the group today, but in Texas, specifically North Texas, a lot of people go to Oklahoma to a little town called Broken Bow, which is, rather large, luxurious cabins. It's about a 4.5 hour drive. They're relatively expensive, but it's really a good time because you can rent out an entire cabin, and the entire cabin hosts 15, maybe 20 people, depending on how big of the cabin you get. And so very similar to what you see in like Gatlinburg, or, that type of stuff. But our concept that we're looking to expand to the 50-acre site is something very similar, except we're likely going to be selling those and selling the opportunity to people to come in and buy. So they'll be able to customize their cabin, customize their design, and ultimately kind of going into, I believe this is what we talked about last time, really having a centralized management situation where folks can hire us to manage that for them, to help with the bookings and all that. But that 50-acre site gives us a lot of flexibility. Again, I'm an outdoor guy. I hunt, I fish, and I understand, specifically in Texas, how much people love to do that. And so with 50 acres, instead of the 1.5 to 2 acre lake, we can do a whole 10-acre lake on this site, where people can do jet skis and all that type of stuff. So it really allows for us to expand this vision much larger. And so we're also giving people true ownership in their own properties. And so it's exciting. And I think it's going to be a cool thing for us long term.
Very nice. Stephanie, Christopher has a question for you. What do you see as your biggest competitive advantage, and how do you envision to sustain it?
Yeah, I love that question, because we spent a lot of time thinking about that. This ecosystem is growing really fast. People know that this is a sector that is just exploding. And so what we really want to be is the platform that sits underneath the entire industry. And that comes from my experience being in data. We're thinking that, we can really have the data that all of these players need. So if you're a product company, you want our data because you want to be able to match your own customers to your products best. And our algorithm will help you do that. We also are collaboration first. So right now we're collaborating with other educators, licensing their education and putting it on our platform. So we're already beginning with a platform type of model where it's similar to Netflix right now, where we're licensing their material. And we look to integrate other technologies the same kind of way, where we're able to integrate the tech and we're the connecting piece. So we truly will be tech, although I think we'll feel a lot like a media company. And then the other piece is that education is our foundation. We thought a lot. We met with cohorts of people in the industry, and that was repeatedly the gap. That was the biggest gap. People are not educated, and people are not being able to be matched to people and products and services based on some understanding of hair itself. It's really fairly random at this moment. And then the last piece is that we're trying to connect every persona on a single platform. And so far, I've not heard of any company that's doing anything remotely close to what we're trying to do. We're coming into the education space, but we're building this with that larger thing in mind. And our developers that we have built multi-sided platforms and understand our vision and are building it so that we can scale.
Very good. Jesse said, could Stephanie utilize Department of Labor grants to fund or offset the expense for training the business classes?
I love that. We've actually been cooking up some ideas around how could we kind of join on what's happening with the Crown Act and be a referral, for companies that want to be better at serving all of the coily and curly hair people that now can wear their hair to work. But I think what you're saying is even more specific. So if you have more thoughts about that or happen to be connected to that, I'd love to talk more about that and see how maybe we can work together.
Wonderful. Jamila, this one's for you. Did you guys build your own platform, and did you have Black developers?
Yes, we built our entire platform is built by us. It is actually patented. So you can go to USPTO and see the patent for Chewbox, the process, all the underlying technology. Our CTO is Black and is the brains behind the development and his team. So yes.
Very good. Jesse said, Scotty, check out Pacific Domes in Oregon for temporary structure and events that are scalable. So we talked about the temporary structures before, and Scotty, I remember you educated us because I talked to you about the getaway, and you educated us on the different type of structures. You want to go over that? Just because I thought that was a powerful takeaway for me personally in thinking about investing in this type of environment.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with Pacific Dome actually, and one of with our development and what we're doing at the retreat at Lake Noire, our value is in the real estate itself. And so when you think about the tiny homes or the things that you see that are on trailers on TV, those structures are not really considered real property. They're considered, I guess the best way to look at it is a very stylish RV. A very stylish RV, simply because they build to the same standards and the same codes as RVs. They just make them look like homes. And so there's other retreats or developments that are similar to this that have these small cabins, these small tiny homes, but they're on trailers. And so if I can back my truck up, hook it up to the back of my truck, hook it up to this trailer and drive it off, it's no longer considered real estate or real property. It's a mobile home, it's an RV. And so our value for us comes in affixing these to the earth. And so built just like you would a normal home, on foundation, pier and beam, or slab foundation. And like I said, when an appraiser comes out there, they're looking at it, they're evaluating this same property very similar to how you would evaluate a multifamily property or a hotel, simply because it's hospitality or some other cash flowing real asset. If they weren't affixed to the earth through a foundation, it will be evaluated like a business, right? And all of the risk and things like that associated with valuing a business would be accounted for. And so we're trying to curtail that whole deal by making certain that no matter what happens, even if this thing doesn't necessarily book up, we still have value in the real property. We still have value in the assets that are affixed to it. And so that's the small caveat that allows for our property to be a little bit different than the other ones, because we got real estate. It ain't going nowhere. So that's the difference between Pacific Dome. They kind of pop up and take down. I think it's a cool concept though. But for us, like I said, we're thinking long-term wealth building. We're thinking legacy, and we do that through ownership of the land and the structures that we put on it.
Very good, very good. Okay, I am going to give my final statements, and then I'd love to go around. I'd love for you guys to give your final statement. Also tell us when your campaign closes, so that the community can have that information. I put all of the links in the chat down here at the bottom again. I'm gonna say this. We've experienced these campaigns now twice. And from the first time they came to talk to us and share what they're doing to now, each and every one of them have had successes and updates, and they've moved their businesses and projects forward. And they've done that without even raising all the money they needed, right? And so Imagine what they can do and what they will do when they raise the capital that is needed to be able to see all of the aspects of these projects come to light. And so that's where we come in, right? Our job is to always do our due diligence. I'm going to say that first, right? But to share this campaign, consider putting it in your own portfolio, but share it so that people who are not as investor savvy as you, or they're not members of a group like this, and they don't have access to this level of deal flow, right? They don't know what equity crowdfunding is. They wouldn't know a WeFunder if it slapped them in the face, right? That's where we come in to tell them about this industry and the fact that Black founders are learning more about equity crowdfunding every day. And every day there will be more and more of them raising capital in this way. And so we need to be here waiting for them and waiting to support them when they arrive. And so please share these campaign links. I have put them in the chat throughout the evening. As you guys may have noticed, my admin is not here tonight, so I've been hustling to put these things in the chat. I'm gonna have to give my admin a hug because I didn't realize it was that hard to keep up with these links in the chat. So she gonna get a hug when she comes back. But so please grab them. You can save the whole chat; they'll be there, or you can just grab them and put them on your desktop so you can have them. If you don't keep these links, at least remember the different portals everyone was on so that you can find them if you happen to lose the link, right? That's really important. Daryl and Stephanie are on WeFunder. Scotty is on Small Change, and Jamila is on Seat at the Table. And so if you only remember that, I want you to use my link, especially since I took so much time to put it in there. But if you can't find the link, at least remember that, right? But please, guys, please support these Black founders by sharing them with everyone that you know. Put it on your social media pages. These campaigns will be closing soon, and they'll tell you when they're closing. But so they need our help these last few weeks of their campaigns. And so I'll start, Stephanie, with you to allow you to give some closing statements, but I also want you all to answer the question for me, why did you come to the 10K project?
Okay, I'll start with that question. I came to the 10K project because I really believe in Black people having the opportunity to invest. I feel extremely lucky that I'm creating a company at this time. It's literally, retail investors have only been able to invest for like a very short amount of time, like less than a decade. And so I find myself in a really amazing position to be able to do this. Like, this has never been possible, really prior in history. And so to me, it's a major deal. When I heard about what you guys were up to, it was a no-brainer. But also, and this goes into, why Crownhunt, you understand this problem, okay? Right now, you cannot go to any salon in your neighborhood. I'm not even talking about somewhere far away. In your neighborhood, you cannot go, and barbers too. I know, but we focus on stylists right now. You cannot go in your neighborhood to a salon right now and get your hair done. And I'm talking about a wash and blow dry or something basic. That is an atrocity to me. I hate that. I think it's ridiculous. And so we're trying to make life with curly hair easier. This is extremely early. We've been around really for less than a year. We're just about to launch our V1. The terms in our WeFunder are phenomenal. You can look around and look at other terms of other campaigns, and you will know that our terms are actually quite amazing. And we're poised for unicorn status. It's a $62 billion industry. We're trying to get 8. So there you go.
That was her version of mic drop. Wait. Very good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Jamila, why 10K project?
Why 10K project? I think it's a lot like what Stephanie said. Like, I come from the legal sphere. My training is as an attorney. I did not know this existed until I got the opportunity to be a part of different startups and accelerators. And once I saw it, I was like, how come Black people don't know about this opportunity to generate wealth? And so for me, and being able to be a part of the leadership of a startup with the C-suite that's all Black folk, being able to give the opportunity to other Black folk to come on our journey. We're a part of an industry that's $3 trillion large. We only need a little bit of that, a little bit of that to become a unicorn. And we know that we are in a spot that a lot of folks are not in, and they're not able to jump into with the players that we are jumping into it with. So to be able to bring folks along our journey is the reason why we're at 10K, and is the reason why we are so excited about what we're doing. And we hope that we can bring more people along with us, whether you invest, whether you just watch us, whether you send people our stuff. Everything is appreciated, because we see so many different ways that we can partner with people. That's not only as investors, as people that we can uplift and be entrepreneurs in their own communities in different ways. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And when does your campaign close?
Campaign closes in March, actually.
Very good. And Stephanie, when do you close?
Yeah, I just realized I didn't say that. January 31st. So the end of this month, and our big push is on Friday this week. That's our big push. That's when we're trying to rally everybody. So even if you repost us on Instagram, I'm about to drop the link in there. That would be tremendous. There's my personal story on there. So there's just a lot of quality content for you to consume and share.
Wonderful. Scotty, why 10K Project?
So real simple, man. I like to help my people access these types of real estate deals. And being able to do it in front of the 10K Project, it just makes it feel that much better. Having done, multi-million-dollar deals before, and being in some of these rooms and nobody around the table looks like me, it's a little frustrating. And what I mean about deals like these, I mean ground up development, stuff that comes to dirt and instantly has $2, $3, $4, $10 million of equity already built into it. And these types of deals happen all the time. I think I told this story last time. A mentor of mine told me about an investment that he made where the minimum investment was $500,000, and they were receiving 2.5, 3x on their money on a 2-year hold. And so it's interesting that we never are at that table. And so with stuff like this, it gives us an opportunity to really see something come out of the dirt, see it operate, and then actually see when it gets either recapitalized through a refinance or sold to an end investor, where we all experience 2.5, 3x on this type of deal. And so I just want to continue to expose our people to real estate development, real estate ground up development deals like these, and then get people comfortable with doing it, even if it's not with me. Getting people comfortable with putting those types of deals together, with integrity, stuff that makes sense, and really stuff that can ultimately help our communities thrive and be better. And so when you notice the retreat at Lake Noire is really about kind of disconnecting and really being at peace and, getting rerouted and regrounded in nature. I think that helps with mental health. I think that helps with spiritual wellness and well-being. And so those types of things help people. And so at the end of the day, my goal is to help people. And I'll even take it a step further, is to help our people. So real estate is just the vehicle that I do it. And I appreciate what you guys have built with the 10K Project. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Really dope, actually.
Well, thank you very, very much. Daryl?
Our campaign ends in 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. That's right. Because you're I think you're 14 days.
Yeah, 15 days. So January 31st is when ours ends as well. So hop on over. I like that idea, Stephanie. I might have to talk to my team about that big push idea. That sounds kind of cool. Thank you. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Very good. Daryl, why 10K project? Oh, you're on mute, Daryl.
So for me, it goes back to when I first started looking at raising capital outside of our kind of friends and family for Relay. And I went initially the traditional route, I was kind of pitching to the VCs and things like that. We ended up getting a decent offer from one. But through my pitching, I always felt there's some sort of uncomfortableness. I just always felt about being in the room, and like Scotty said, being the only one who looks like me in that room, pitching to guys who I'm looking at like, you guys have already made your millions or even hundreds of millions with some of these guys. And something just didn't quite sit right when I was like, man, I work my butt off and I'm going to continue to work my butt off. And granted, your investment as a VC helps, but I feel like it's kind of riding on the coattails where our people don't get that opportunity. And then it was when I came across crowdfunding, I didn't even know it existed at the time. And when somebody introduced me to, I think it was Republic at the time, and I was like, what? You mean like our truck drivers and our carriers can invest in Relay? Like they could get in on the ground floor and they have the opportunity, to invest 1,000 and potentially become a millionaire off of Relay. Now that for me, that's what I was talking about. And then when you came along after we launched that Republic and you were like, hey, I'm creating this 10K project and it's all about helping, Black folks really learn around what investing is, how to bring them together. And I was just like, yes, like my vision and my dream when I found out Republic and 10K was that Relay would grow to $1 billion company and be funded by the people for the people. And that's my ultimate dream. And so as far as Relay goes, to become a unicorn, trucking is one of the hugest industries. Like we're in the industry, right? We're an $800 billion industry and growing. There's over 3 million truck drivers out there, over 1 million different trucking companies, and we're well on our way to capture the 10 to 15,000 that we need to get to that unicorn status. We're all about building that technology and that network that gives that truck driver that freedom and flexibility. And kind of like I mentioned in the presentation, one thing that surprised me that I didn't anticipate was how many Black folks would actually join the network compared to other races. And so to me, that wasn't something that we like marketed somehow intentionally. That was just initially what started, and then the word of mouth and referrals, and it's just naturally kind of growing that way, which is just amazing. And then throw in the 10K, and if we could all make it pop in together and this thing becomes a unicorn, like. So thank you, Tawana. So I just want to say thank you for inviting me, finding me initially, and bringing me the 10K and kind of giving everybody the opportunity and sharing the knowledge. And I think this is going to be huge. I'm glad you're growing and doing great things. And it's just, thank you to all the people who joined today. And I'm just thrilled. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Gerald, I was thinking the same thing. I think we're in the presence of many, many Black unicorns right now. And I am excited about it. I'm gonna take a screenshot. So when each of y'all make it, I'll be like, I knew him when, y'all. Tonight has been another amazing night. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined us at tonight's Bet on Black Pitch. You know, these founders are the reason we are here. It's the reason we show up week after week. This is Black excellence. They are doing it. You hear me? They're not just talking about it. They're not dreaming about it. They are doing it. And so I am so proud of each and every one of you. I mean, we've seen, 4 different industries represented here. And every time each of you spoke, I was like, damn, I gotta put some more money on that one. So I'll be marking my calendar so I don't miss these January 31st deadlines for sure. But I am so proud of you guys. Thank you all for, joining us. We would not be anything if the Black founder did not take a chance on equity crowdfunding. And Jamila talked about how hard capital raising is. You guys are running businesses, and raising capital has become a second job, right? And so thank you all for continuing, even though it hasn't been easy. And so, I appreciate that, because without you, we don't get the early seat at the table, right? And so thank you for your ability to stick with it and to forge forward. And again, those are amazing traits for amazing founders, which tells me you guys are going to, realize every single one of your goals and dreams. So thank you all so much for joining us. Peace and blessings. I can't wait to see you all the way at the top. So thank y'all so much. Have a wonderful night. And I'll see y'all on the next capital raise round.
That's right. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Peace.